Welcome back to our channel where we share with you the most inspiring and touching stories that are guaranteed to tug at your heartstrings. Today's story is titled "The Old Man at the Park Was a War Hero All Along." Before we begin, please subscribe if you haven't already so that you won't miss out on all of our future videos. Also, make sure to like this video because it really helps us out. Let's get started. It was an ordinary day in the park when an old man sat down on a bench to feed the birds. Every day he would bring a bag of birdseed and scatter it around the base of the statue in the center of the park. Then the old man would sit on the bench and watch as the birds pecked at the seeds and flew away, satisfied after eating. One day, some kids approached the old man. They stared at him for a while and then burst into laughter. The old man didn't understand why they were laughing at him. He was just peacefully enjoying his time feeding the birds. However, the kids continued to mock him and their laughter echoed through the park. The old man sighed. It wasn't the first time that people had mocked him. Over the years, he had become accustomed to such treatment. But still, he couldn't understand why these children were laughing at him. He was just a simple old man who loved feeding the birds. Suddenly, one of the children shouted, "Hey, old man, why don't you come with me? I bet I can make you do something even funnier than feeding those birds." The old man looked up from his bag of birdseed and stared at the child in confusion. He didn't understand what the child wanted from him. "Come on, old man, please do it," the child urged, and the old man hesitated for a moment before slowly getting up from the bench. As the old man stood up, something fell from his coat. It was a medal. The old man bent down to pick it up, and the children gathered around him, curious about what the medal looked like. When the old man straightened up, the children gasped. They recognized the medal immediately. "Wow, you're a war hero," one of the children exclaimed. "I saw your picture in the newspaper," another added. The old man blushed, embarrassed by all the attention. He had been trying to keep his identity a secret, but it seemed that his efforts had failed. "So that's why you're spending all your time at the park feeding birds," one of the children said, realizing why the old man was always at the park. "You're too scared to go home," another added, and the old man shook his head, saddened by the children's words. He was not scared to go home. He had a loving wife and family who welcomed him every day. He had chosen to spend his time at the park because he found peace and joy in feeding the birds. However, the children did not understand this. They continued to mock him, saying things like, "Oh, you're too scared to go home and you're a real chicken, aren't you?" The old man felt humiliated. He wished he could explain to the children that he wasn't scared, but how could he do that without revealing his true identity? As he stood there trying to think of a way to defend himself, one of the children shouted, "Hey, maybe he is too scared to go home because he doesn't have anyone waiting for him there." The old man's heart sank when he heard this. It was true. He had no one waiting for him at home. The old man had been widowed for many years. His wife had passed away, leaving him alone with his memories. He had children and grandchildren, but they lived far away and he rarely saw them. He understood why the children were laughing at him. He was an old, lonely man who spent his days feeding birds in the park. But despite the children's taunts, the old man remained calm. He knew that they were just trying to hurt him, but he refused to let them see that they had succeeded. Instead, he forced a smile onto his face and said, "You know what, kids, you might be right. I am too scared to go home. But you know what? I'm also too scared to go to war." The children stared at the old man in surprise. They had never heard him speak before, and they were shocked by his calm demeanor. "What do you mean?" one of them asked, and the old man looked at them for a moment before answering. "I am too scared to go to war because I don't want to leave these beautiful birds behind. They need me here." The children were stunned. They had never thought of it like that before. They had been mocking the old man for spending all of his time at the park, but now they realized that he wasn't just a crazy old man. He was a hero who had fought in the war and was now trying to find peace. "I'm sorry," one of the children finally said, and the others nodded in agreement. "We're sorry we made fun of you, sir," another added. The old man smiled. He knew that they were only children and that they hadn't meant to hurt him. He forgave them easily and told them to go play. As the children ran off, the old man picked up his medal and put it back in his pocket. He then bent down to pick up his bag of birdseed and began scattering it on the ground. Suddenly, a voice interrupted his peaceful activity. "Are you the old man who feeds the birds every day?" The old man looked up and saw a woman standing in front of him. She introduced herself as a reporter from the local newspaper and explained that she had heard about him from some children. The old man blushed, embarrassed, but the reporter continued, "I'm writing a story about unsung heroes of our community, and I believe you are one of them. Would you be willing to tell me about your experiences?" The old man hesitated, unsure of what to say, but the reporter insisted, "Please, sir. I think your story needs to be told." After some thought, the old man agreed to tell her his story. He explained that he had been a pilot during the war and had flown many dangerous missions. He had seen many horrible things and had lost many friends. When the war ended, he returned home, but he couldn't find peace. He was haunted by his experiences and couldn't sleep at night. The old man said that he had tried everything to overcome his trauma, but nothing worked. One day, he read an article about the benefits of spending time in nature, and he decided to try it. He went to the park and started feeding the birds, and as he sat there watching them, he felt a sense of calm wash over him. He continued to visit the park every day, and eventually his anxiety lifted. The reporter was deeply moved by the old man's story. She could feel the pain and anguish he had endured for so many years. She thanked him for sharing his story with her and promised to write it down. The next day, the old man was feeding the birds when he saw a crowd of people standing by the statue in the park. He walked over and saw a group of Boy Scouts presenting him with a plaque that read, "To our local war hero." The old man was shocked and embarrassed, but the Boy Scouts insisted that he accept the honor. The old man then noticed a familiar face in the crowd. It was the reporter from the local newspaper. She had written an article about him and shared it with the community, which had led to the Boy Scouts honoring him. As the old man stood there accepting the plaque, he couldn't help but feel a sense of pride and gratitude. He had finally been recognized for his service, and he knew that his story would inspire other veterans to seek help and find peace. From that day on, the old man was no longer known as the crazy old man who fed the birds in the park. He was known as the war hero who had found peace in the most unexpected place. The children who had once mocked him now looked up to him with admiration, and he became a role model for the entire community. And that is the story of the old man who was a war hero all along. If you like this story, please give us a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss any of our future videos. Thanks for watching.